Our group of animals is the bears. It includes the polar bear, Andean bear, sloth bear, and red panda. They all have amazing adaptations to help them survive in the wild. On this map, you can see where all the bears' habitats are. Although they seem very different, they actually have many similarities. The polar bear lives in Alaska, where it is cold and harsh. The Andean bear lives in South America, where it is fairly warm and rainy. The red panda lives in China, where it lives in the high treetops. And lastly, the sloth bear lives in India, where it inhabits grasslands or forests.
The polar bears have white fur and are larger than the other bears, so they can survive in their icy environment. It appeared 300,000 years ago on the Siberian coast.
The Andean bears have adapted their digestive systems, so they can eat tough leafy foods that other animals cannot digest. It appeared about 12 million years ago.
The sloth bear has learned to suck insects out of trees, therefore does not have front teeth. It appeared about 7 million years ago.
The red panda has a long bushy tail and long claws to help it stay balanced while it is climbing in the trees. It appeared about 37 million years ago.
Over 20 million years ago, there lived an animal called the dawn bear. It is believed that all bears evolved from this animal. It resembled a mix of a wolf and a bear. Some scientists also think that the dogs evolved from it too. The Linnaean classification shows how they are all related. The red panda appeared first 27 million years ago, which is why it has the most differences. They are shown in yellow. Next came the Andean bear, 12 million years ago. Then there was the sloth bear, which formed 7 million years ago. Most recently is the polar bear, which appeared only 300,000 years ago.
The phylogeny shows how the bears evolved and branched off from each other. The red panda is the farthest from the bears. When you compare the way they look at you, you will find an immediate difference. It has a long bushy tail and red fur. It is also drastically smaller and lighter than the other bears. This is why it is the furthest away from the others. The Andean or spectacled bear and the sloth bear are nearest each other, making them the most similar. They both are about the same size and have the same type of fur and similar markings. Because the polar bear is the newest bear, it is shown at the top. It is the largest bear and has white fur.
The red panda has many adaptations. First off, the red panda is very light, which helps it balance itself on the trees, and so that the branches don't break. Their tails also help with balance. Red pandas are nocturnal, so they sleep in the daytime. It also has special thumbs, which helps them grip onto things. Over the years, many people have argued whether or not the red panda is actually a bear. The final conclusion was that it's not.
The Andean bear has had many adaptations because of its environment. First, they have adjusted their skull and digestive systems to eat tough vegetation such as cactus and palm nuts. Next, they have a great sense of smell. This is used to smell food on trees or buried underground. Lastly, they have extremely sharp claws to climb trees and dig holes. The Andean bear travels alone so it does not have to compete for food with other bears and animals. Their main predators are humans. They are hunted for their meat and fur.
The polar bear has many adaptations due to its cold environment. It has special fur which keeps it warm while swimming or hibernating. It has an amazing sense of smell, so it can find seals or whales under the ice. It also has great hearing and eyesight, so it can detect another bear coming or prey. It has long, sharp teeth and claws, so it can be a successful hunter. It also has strong pads on its feet, which help protect it from sharp ice and also from slipping. Their main predator is other bears and humans, who hunt them for their fur.
Sloth bears have several adaptations for eating termites, bulging naked lips. Nostrils can be closed at will and upper incisors are absent. The bears dig up a termite nest, blow off the dirt, and inhale the occupants in a vacuum cleaner action. Sloth bears have poor eyesight and vision, so they must rely on good sense of smell to find food and detect predators. They're also good climbers.
All the bears walk on 4 feet and have strong pads on their feet to help with traction and protection from stepping on sharp objects. Also, they all have a thick coat of fur to help keep them warm in the colder months. They all can digest both meat and vegetation if they need to. They all have claws to eat their food and protection. They also use their claws to climb trees or dig holes. They all have teeth so they can chew through fibers, including plants and meat. All their enemies include humans and other bears. They all have great senses such as smell, hearing, eyesight, so they can hunt and be alert for danger.
These animals all have similar qualities because they've evolved from the same creature and have to fulfill the same needs. They must dig, climb, hunt, and protect themselves.
All these bears are endangered due to people hunting them and habitat destruction. Not even their amazing adaptations can save them, but zoos around the world are helping protect them. Most animals that live in zoos are endangered. They are in the zoo because they would go extinct without the help of breeding programs at zoos.
The animals that live in zoos live very different lives than animals in the wild. They do not need to worry about finding food, shelter, or water. They don't need to worry about predators or losing their home. Every day, they get fed with top-quality food. Therefore, they have nothing to do all day. They do not get to interact with other animals and hardly any other bears. They become very lonely. Although zoos may try to provide them with toys or man-made contraptions, the bears and other captive animals become bored and may become destructive.
Captivity can affect future generations. There is no natural selection. The zoo will make sure they all survive and get proper nutrients and care. This means the one in the zoo will not evolve. In the wild, if a bear was injured, couldn't run fast, or wasn't strong, it would die. But in the zoo, there are many specially trained volunteers and vets who will make sure it survives. If the zoo has a breeding program, this can prevent random mating since there's probably only 2 or 3 of that animal. This means that the genes the next generation will get are very similar, but the breeding program can help make sure the animals do not go extinct.
The trainers and workers at the zoo do their best to understand and fulfill every animal's needs. Some have traveled and observed the animals in their natural habitats so they can further understand them. They also try to safely interact with the animals as much as possible. They understand that they may be lonely because they live alone. They may hide treats in the enclosure and provide them with many toys and obstacles to play with and climb onto the top to keep them busy.
A zoo curator is an extremely important worker at the zoo. They are in charge of which animals are at the zoo. One of their main missions is getting animals into and out of their exhibit. This can be very difficult because you cannot drive an animal in a car and it can take long periods of time. They are in charge of working with specialized trucking companies which have enough space to meet the animals' needs. Also, they have to meet vets on the way. This will make sure that the animal is healthy and ready to go in the zoo.
Animals that are brought into the zoo are either from other zoos, bred from other captive ones of its species, or from the wild. Most of the animals that you see in the zoo today came from other zoos. They can be brought there in large trucks that meet their needs. A long time ago, animals were actually taken from the wild and brought into zoos. This could be a very difficult and risky process. When the animals are taken from their home, it can be very stressful for them and all the animals that live with them or around them. Also, many of these animals carried diseases. When these animals were brought into the zoo, they could spread the diseases to all the other animals as well.
Another way that new animals could come to the zoo is through breeding programs. Many zoos all around the country create environments that help the animals breed. The zoo curator also is in charge of working with other zoos to gain new animals for their breeding program. There can be genetic problems if a small group of animals is bred too often, so the curator is in charge of making sure certain animals breed and there are no problems with their offspring. This process can be extremely difficult because most of the animals are endangered and there are not many of them.
The zoos do not accept animals from the wild often. They can bring many diseases to the zoo and can be very costly. They have to be constantly fed and take care of each animal and make sure that there is enough room to keep them happy. The only main reason that an animal would be brought to the zoo would be because it was injured. An animal that is injured would have an extremely tough time surviving on its own in the wild, so the zoo would be able to monitor it and provide it with essential care that it requires.
The Philadelphia Zoo has started a program called Footprints, which helps the endangered animals and also helps reduce global warming and pollution in their area. First, they identify species that are at risk of extinction. They look at animals on the IUCN Red List of Threatened Animals, the U.S. Endangered Species Act, and the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora. Based on these lists, the zoo considers these animals and which ones it will add to its program. The ones it adds are bred and kept in order to help repopulate the species.
Luckily, zoos have protected animals from going extinct. Almost all the bears' habitats have been destroyed in the wild. Their homes in the wild have been lost due to humans. Now there are not many areas that are open land, and animals have a tough time living and hunting without encountering humans. Many of the main forests that bears and many other animals lived in have been torn down to build highways and many other large buildings. Thanks to the Philadelphia Zoo, there are many ways for everyday people to get involved and support the animals. One of these includes adopting an animal online. This will support the animal that you like to adopt, and also you will get to go behind the scenes and help take care of the animals. Any of the money that you donate to the zoo could help many of the 1,300 exotic animals that they have.
In conclusion, without the help of zoos, it would be almost impossible to keep all of the species of animals alive. Because humans are invading their environments and causing global warming, many are going endangered and extinct. Zoos are helping keep these animals alive. They not only care for them and meet all of their needs, but they also provide environments to keep them happy. With all of their efforts to help keep the animals healthy and happy, zoos around America and across the world are able to help repopulate these endangered animals.